I'm Drew.
And I'm John. This episode and every future episode is dedicated to the horror hounds and smokers out there who want to expand their knowledge of the genre and have a good time.
On today's special episode number 4, we're reviewing Resident Evil Welcome to Racoon City. Unlike the first film, which was universally panned when it came out, this one actually has fans torn. Some love it and some hate it. What's your thoughts? Well, hopefully you've seen it, because we're going to gut it. Oh yes, there will be spoilers. Today on High on Horror. Interviews, reviews, and the latest news all rolled into one. Alright, before we get into our review, let's talk about what we're smoking today, because we're definitely going to get fucked up when we talk about this movie. I got Masterpiece, that strong gassy indica that I posted about on Instagram on Thanksgiving. I smoked this when I watched Blood Rage. That's what we smoked before we went to see Resident Evil Welcome to Racoon City in the theaters. This shit is a strong gassy indica, and it's the last I got of it. I'm sad to see it go, but let's send it out on a high note. And you have something for us too, right, John? What do you got for us?
Damn, you brought an indica too? I brought an indica. We gonna be like we got the T virus in us by the end of the episode. if we just snooze, just pass out halfway towards the end of this.
Our editors will hate us.
My
Josh
bad.
will hate us.
It's the Fozzie that I had for our season finale. I also have my last nug of that.
So it's the last of our strong gassy indicas.
Yeah, I gotta go to re-up tomorrow.
All right, sweet. All right, well, yeah, all right, I'm going to spark us up. Let's get us into that synopsis if you got one.
No, I don't. Resident Evil, Welcome to Racoon City. It's set in 1998, just like the original video game. And it follows a group of survivors, Claire Redfield, Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, Albert Wesker, Leon Kennedy. If you played the game, you're familiar. Well, the first two, you're familiar with them. But it's them trying to survive during a zombie outbreak in the small town of, you guessed it, Racoon City.
Yeah, man, I actually, I'm a fan of the original Resident Evil movie from 2002. I know that, a lot of people hate that movie, and I understand why. I think it's a solid movie. It's got a solid cast. Mila Jovovich does a fantastic job as Alice, and I appreciate that the movie feels like it could take place in the Resident Evil universe without stepping on the toes of anything really major. I like that Alice is vulnerable yet an absolute ass kicker. You do not want to fuck with her. I remember I was gifted the first Resident Evil film on my birthday on DVD, and I really liked the movie, and I still enjoy it. It's fun, it's sexy, it's action-packed, and it's a fun popcorn horror movie, So going into having to sit through all of those shitty sequels that came after it, and now getting to Resident Evil Welcome to Racoon City, I was thankful. I was actually thankful for this reboot, because I hated to see the Resident Evil brand go out the way that it did, on the note that it did. So I was very hyped to see this movie. What were your, how did you feel coming into it? Were you hyped? Did you have any expectations?
When I saw the trailer and it had the scene straight out of the original Resident Evil, I was like, okay, I'm interested. I grew up playing, I didn't play a lot of the Resident Evil games, but I played the first one, I played the second one, and I thought it was kind of interesting in this movie that they combined 1 and 2, video game wise, kind of just into one movie, which I'm trying to remember my lore properly, but I believe Resident Evil 2, that game picks up like 2 months or something.
A few months, I don't remember specifically, but it's a few months, yeah.
But it was interesting because I fully expected Chris, maybe Claire, and, Jill, Wesker. I did not expect Leon Kennedy to be in it. And I mean, Claire is from the second one as well, but there was definitely moments, I don't want to give anything away, that there was little Easter eggs to the video game, and I kind of felt like that meme of Leonardo DiCaprio from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where he's like pointing at the screen like, oh shit, I remember that. But you didn't really play the games much, right?
I played the first game. I played the first and second game. I remember I got the first game at KB Toys. I remember like specifically where I bought it in the Concord Mall back when there was a KB Toys. I used to love that store. But yeah, I loved the first Resident Evil game. In between scaring me, it was really just a bunch of puzzles and like solving things. So yeah, it was a fun game, and like you said, it definitely Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City really combines the stories because you get the police station from part two, and you get the mansion from part one. And there's a knowledge nugget for you. The alternate names for Resident Evil, the game, were originally just horror game and
Yeah.
biohazard. Horror game. Could you imagine?
Yeah, I hadn't played the first one in a while, and actually, our buddy Ian we had on, I watched his YouTube. He has a whole series on the first 10 years of the games, and that's how I learned that it was originally the working title was just horror game. And
Horrible.
yeah, I mean, but as a kid, I would have probably bought it just because it was called horror game.
I know. Well, actually, while we're on the topic of the video game, I was gonna say that the Japanese horror film Sweet Home that had a video game based off of it, and that was Resident Evil. The game was kind of based off of that. I never saw the movie Sweet Home, and every time I talk about Resident Evil and I think about that, I'm always like, man, I really need to get around to watching that movie. Yeah, the game was also inspired by Alone in the Dark, which I've never played. Have you ever played Alone in the Dark?
I haven't, but I mean, Resident Evil also spun off like a whole bunch of games after that, like especially Silent Hill.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Silent
absolutely.
Hill and Resident Evil scared the shit out of me as a kid. Even like I remember I bought Resident Evil 2 and I was playing it in daylight, and it was like as a kid it was still, I think it came out in 96, so I was like 10. It fucking terrified me. Now I look back, I'm like, these graphics are terrible. I did play the remake of Resident Evil 2, and it still creeped the shit out of me. That's the one thing is like you talk about the puzzles in the game,
Yeah.
but even when you're doing the puzzles, you're like, what the fuck's gonna happen?
Yeah, I
What is
know.
about to happen if I finish this puzzle? Or
And this door opens. What's
Yeah.
going to be behind this fucking door, right?
also, this popped in my head. My most intense video game experience ever was playing the original Resident Evil remastered on my PS4 while I was on acid. I made
Sounds like a John story.
I made it like 15 minutes. I wasn't scared, but man, it was too
You wigged
too
yourself
intense.
out with anxiety,
Too
didn't you?
intense.
I knew you were going to say that.
I forgot about that till now, but yeah, yeah. As for the games, they're classics, and I mean, pretty much. I mean, it didn't start, but it was gave a big hand in helping start the survival horror genre.
Yeah, I mean, even for someone like me who wasn't a big gamer, isn't a big gamer, that Resident Evil and Silent Hill were everywhere back in the day. I mean, everybody knows that. Rather, like that was just a thing. Like you go into the grocery store and the game magazines have Silent Hill or Resident Evil on them. Like those games, I never played a single Silent Hill game. I would love to, but yeah.
I think it was Silent Hill 4. I played like 20 minutes of, and I was like, nope.
Anyway, let's get back to the movie. We're getting sidetracked. Okay, but all right, so let's talk about how about we talk about what we liked about the new movie before we get into what we disliked.
I thought I'm gonna mispronounce his name, Avin Jogia, as Leon Kennedy. Like I enjoyed him. I thought he did a good Leon. Leon's always been my favorite from the games. I think it's mostly because I picked up the second one first, but I thought he did a great job as Leon. His look was well done. Excuse me. His look was well done. Like as soon as I saw him, I'm like, that's Leon. Whereas maybe like Jill, I didn't pick up that was Jill at first. Like that one threw me for a loop, but like for them getting characters pretty well done, I'd say Leon, Chris, and I mean it's kind of easy to get Claire right. You just throw a red jacket on her, but I thought they did well. Donald Logue, is that how you say his name?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
Dude, he was great as the chief of police.
yeah, he was. He really was. The scene where everyone's getting where like the umbrella SWAT members, whatever you want to call them, are like shooting at the zombies, and he's in the car, and he's like trying to back out as all the bullets are flying and all the chaos is ensuing. That was like one of my favorite scenes, if not my favorite scene. Like I just thought that scene was badass. I didn't know what was gonna happen, and because we saw it in the theater, everything was so loud. You just felt like you were in that moment with them, and it was just like just shit just broke out. You just didn't know what was gonna happen. I liked it.
Was it as loud as that person who brought the baby though?
Somebody actually brought their baby,
A fucking baby,
and,
to see Resident Evil.
And your luck, they sat right fucking next to you.
Thankfully the kid didn't cry that much, but like Drew and I got our tickets early, and we always try to get our tickets like smack dab middle, or at least the middle of the row, whatever row we're sitting in. Apparently this family decided they wanted that row as well, and afterwards we literally like split this family up, and the people next to me wouldn't stop talking the whole movie. I mean, they were having open discussion. I want to tell the lady, like, he can't fucking hear you after you've yelled 5 times, "Go back in the car, go back in the car, go back in the car." And you said people were talking on your side too?
Yeah, they were talking. They were just saying cliche things like I don't know how he survived that and stuff like that. And
because it's a zombie movie,
I guess. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, there was a lot of excited people in that crowd. The people beside me more made me laugh. They didn't upset me though. You were just downright annoyed.
Nicole says I'm a curmudgeon when I go to movies. I love seeing horror movies in theaters, but I love see I'm the opposite, where everybody's like, "Oh, I love seeing a horror movie with the crowd." No, I don't want to see it with the crowd. I want to see it by myself, super quiet. Like, you taking me out of the element of the movie when you sit here having an open discussion about characters while I'm like, okay, they're setting the scene here.
Yeah, I feel you. It definitely takes you out of the mood. But back to the movie. The first thing about this movie that I want to say is something that you had mentioned in your synopsis was that it takes place in 1998 like the original game. So I love that little detail. It's a nice little touch. But also, I want to mention that instead of being a little bitch and fleeing like he did in the video game, helicopter pilot Vickers dies by being attacked in this movie. So they kind of give Vickers redemption. In this game.
I thought about that too when that happened. I mean, I guess maybe slight spoiler there, but
well, we're doing spoilers. It's a review episode, so
all right. So okay, spoilers were on the board. Us holding back till later, but here we are.
Let it fly.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like, wait a minute, that's not what happens with Vickers. Yeah, they made Vickers way more likable.
Yeah.
In this, where they kept Wesker just being a dick the entire time, just like the game.
Exactly.
Like the whole time in the game, like you're supposed to be shocked that he turned on you, but like, no, I wasn't. Like this guy was always a dick. And I mean, they did the same thing with the movie.
Agreed. Even when he's playing on the good guy's side and being a member of Stars, so to speak, he's always just a dick. He's always got a little bit of a dick to him. Yeah, what I like about the movie, Resident Evil, Welcome to Racoon City, what I like about it, my likes are, it's scary. It's intense as hell. It's violent. It's gory. And it's a real zombie movie. Whereas the 2002 film was an action sci-fi zombie flick. This is just pure unadulterated survival horror, just like the game.
Yeah, and I saw that it said this was kind of inspired by Assault on Precinct. A lot of Carpenter films, they said it was inspired by Halloween, Assault on Precinct 13, and The Fog.
Oh, nice.
Filmmaker explained the origin stories of Peace divided between two main locations, the Spencer Mansion and the police department. And they said after a dozen games, 6 live-action movies, and hundreds of pages of fan fiction, we felt compelled to return to the year 1998 to explore the secrets hidden in the Spencer Mansion in Racoon City.
That's pretty cool. And
I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was going to say I could see all 3 of those Carpenter movies. More heavily of the 3, actually, Assault on Precinct 13.
Yeah, definitely. That's the most heavily influenced for sure. That one's obvious, actually, when you say it. But what I like about this movie is that there is no heroes in this one. There's nobody running up walls and Showtime kicking dogs.
Anthony Pettis.
Claire saves a few people's asses by shooting zombies, but that's it, just shooting zombies. There's no heroes. They're just real, genuine people in a fucked situation trying to survive. It's a very dark and gritty movie. It's very dark and gritty in tone, whereas the 2002 film felt very polished. The other thing is that in the original movie, the zombies were a bit boring. They were cool to look at, but there had been nothing much besides that, and there wasn't much gore. So the fact that there is a lot of gore in this movie definitely rectifies that, because I mean it's a fucking zombie movie. You want gore, so trust me, your thirst will be quenched for blood when you see this movie. If you're looking for a bloody real zombie movie,
I will say, I was just thinking of this. One of my complaints would be that there's too many scenes, I feel like, of people being saved by other people, where you think they're going to die, and then somebody all of a sudden has a gun and like saves them.
yeah, I could see that. I could see that. But dude, like the zombies. How about the zombies? I mean, they were smart and relentless and fast as fuck. I mean, they were fucking vicious. Those were not the zombies. I was telling my friend Joshua about this. These are not zombies that you can just like, oh, I'm running upstairs to get somewhere so I can just brush them out of the way and run past them. Like, these things put up a fucking fight. They are not dumb, and they have a motive, and they are fast as fuck. And I mean, they were just brutal. Like, whenever they were on screen, it almost caused a little bit of dread, because you're like, oh shit, like these things are fucking mean. Like, who's gonna die? Who's gonna get fucked up?
That, and like, they did a good job incorporating the zombies from the game, like some of the special zombies, like oh man, I know I'm probably gonna mess this up. The leaper hunter,
The hunters?
yeah,
Yeah.
like I thought they looked fantastic. Tyrant looked good, but I didn't like the whole. Well, I mean, I guess in the game you could complain the game was worse, where just Tyrant's just a specimen that breaks out at the end.
Yeah.
Where this kind of tried to tie it in story wise. But I still like the look of Tyrant, and I thought that was well done.
I 100% agree. I loved Tyrant, and that was one of the things about again the first film that I want to bring up is that the the main villain should have been Tyrant in the 2002 film, but it wasn't. The main villain was a giant super licker, which is just weak. Because like Tyrant was supposed to be the big bad, and he was in the game. He should have been in the movie, and the difference with that is that the licker was actually in the second Resident Evil movie. He wasn't, or I'm sorry, the second Resident Evil game. The licker was made by the G virus in the second game. So they just completely forgo that and just put licker in the first movie and make him just evolve and turn into the super licker, and that's the villain instead of Tyrant. And I was a little upset about that. They included liquor, but they didn't include they didn't include the evil poison ivy like Resident Evil 2 had. But anyway, yeah. So the villain in the first movie, if it were trying to stay true to the source material, should have been the Chimera or the Hunters, but they went with a liquor. And whereas this movie actually gives you Tyrant, which was a fucking relief, because that's what I think when you see Resident Evil and it's the first chapter of a movie or a game, you expect Tyrant. You want to see Tyrant. I always loved Tyrant. I used to have an action figure of him, that one big arm. That dude is not to be fucked with.
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking if I mean, I'm sure they're probably going to try to pick up from here and make a sequel. I'd love to see Mr. X in the next one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And here's a knowledge note for you, listeners out there. Lisa Trevor, who's in this movie, you'll see her helping Claire out as a kid and as an adult. She is actually a character from the 2002 video game remake.
Yeah, I never really got into the remake so much, and I know there was like prequel games that came out. But I wanted to talk about the Patient Zero. I thought they did real good with that, with the dog.
Oh yeah.
I have to say the special effects are well done.
I agree. I think the special effects are well done. I thought the acting was also great. I don't have any real complaints about the special effects. I mean, I thought that the dog looked a little too CGI at some scenes. And like not good CGI. It looked like kind of bad CGI at a few angles. But besides that, I don't really have any complaints about the effects. And I also, like I said, think that the acting was really good from everybody. Like you had mentioned, Ivan Jogia. I think that he did a good job. I think that they all really did a good job. Johannes Roberts, who directed both 47 Meters Down movies, really went for the throat with this one. He's a great director, and I think he actually was the right person at the right time to put behind the Resident Evil series.
This is going off on a little side tangent here. Who's a more fucked up company? Umbrella or the Wayland Yutani company?
I thought you were gonna say WWE.
Wow. Damn, Vince is that bad. He basically Umbrella?
No,
That's a close one, right?
I'd have to say that I have to say Resident Evil, or I'm sorry, Resident Evil. I'd have to say Umbrella. I'd have to say Umbrella because they're just, I don't know. I feel that at the heart of Wayland, there was a motive to try and do good, whereas with Umbrella, I feel that they just don't give a fuck about anybody.
You think Wayland really had? They want to use that as a sword.
I mean, he cared a little bit more about people. I think they killed. I think Wayland cared a little bit more about people than Umbrella. Umbrella literally doesn't give a shit about anybody.
I mean, but you could say the same thing. It says crew is expendable. All they want back is the sample. They don't give a shit about any of those workers.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
it's got to be close. They are both. They're pretty bad. Like, I would have thrown Skynet in there, but I would give you the argument that you said that at least they were trying to do something.
Yeah.
Skynet just fucked up. The way
Skynet, Skynet are trying to end the world. So I mean, Skynet.
Well, they're not trying to end the world. The machines after they're put
Skynet
online turn on
Skynet. Right. Well, you know what I mean. But yeah, okay. So evil Skynet, fucking, we'll call it evil Skynet or turn Skynet. Yeah, that's probably the most evil. Like,
yeah, the robots don't give a fuck.
No, they really don't. But
yeah, I just had to throw that out there because I was going to say the Wayland Yutani and Umbrella are like two of the most fucked up. I can't think of any other ones in cinema history that are maybe more fucked up. Willy Wonka.
Yeah, well, I mean, Willy Wonka's pretty fucked up, actually. I felt that one of the things that I also liked about the movie was I felt some REC in there, the Spanish found footage film that we had talked about a couple of weeks ago that celebrated its anniversary.
I can't relate.
That I think that it's like, I truly think that's the best found footage film ever made. I really felt some REC in there when everybody was getting attacked in the mansion, when they were going up the stairs and all of the zombies and infected are coming out of the doors and everybody's getting attacked at lunch. At lunch? What? At once. When everyone was getting attacked at once.
They only attack you when you eat it, huh?
Well, they want you for lunch, so I mean, I don't know. But that whole scene and segment just felt very much like REC to me, but that's a good thing because it creates that claustrophobia and that panic-inducing dread that just makes you just dread what's coming next, you know? And didn't you feel that for a brief moment, at least for maybe like a minute or two in the mansion when they're going up the stairs, shit just hit the fan and you're like, it was like nonstop. You're just like, whoa, like it's almost too much to keep up with. And it's bad shit. It's not good shit. It's not heroic shit. It's like, oh my God, like people are getting fucked up.
Yeah, there was some bad times people getting fucked up, especially when they came across the Bravo team and that fucking zombies just chomping.
Oh yeah.
And like these people are supposed to be special like forces, right? They're like shooting like stormtroopers out here. Like nobody's hitting the head.
That's very true. I mean, stormtroopers was a very good way to put it.
I mean, they're hitting targets, but like they're even after it's been established about the headshot, which that is becoming an annoying cliche. I feel like in zombie movies that like we have to announce it like in every one. Oh, the head! Like nobody knows this.
Yeah.
Then still,
it's just like with vampires. Like you have to still explain to people that like the sunlight or stakes or silver
like I feel
vampires.
like most of us kind of know how this works.
Yeah.
But anyway, even after it's been like established to shoot them in the head, like they're still just like shotgunning them in the chest and shit.
Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah, and emptying clips at that, not just like one shot, but I'm talking like shooting motherfuckers like 6-7 times like in the chest, and then when they get up, acted surprised.
Yeah, and like STARS is like an elite group of like people. Like you would figure that like if that's what's protecting Racoon City, like no wonder that shit went to hell.
Well,
Bravo team got fucked up.
Yeah, that's no joke. Absolutely no joke there. They definitely got fucked up. But I want to go back and say something real quick before we just completely blow towards the just talk about the new movie. I want to go back and talk about the original 2002 film again for a second. One of the things that I really liked about the 2002 Resident Evil film was the score by Marco Beltrami and wow, the score by Marco Beltrami and Marilyn Manson. That score fucking rocks, and it's creepy as shit, and it's also heavy, and I feel the same way with the score from the new movie.
From Mark Corvin.
Yep, from Mark Corvin. He did an amazing job on the new score. Like it's not as much creepy music as more just like beats and tones to like really just set that atmospheric horror tone to just let you know like you're not at ease at any point in the movie. Don't rest up. Something's gonna happen. So yeah, the scores in 2002 and in 2021 for these movies are both great. And also a knowledge nug for you, in the 2002 Resident Evil film, the presidents of Capcom Japan and America make cameos in the film as zombies.
Oh,
so that's pretty fucking cool. I did not
see that.
Yeah. Also,
Capcom has made a fucking ton of good games.
No shit, right? But there's a lot of things. Like, it's funny because the first Resident Evil movie didn't really stay true to the original. It takes place in the mansion, but
they created Mila Jovovich's character.
Right. But the laser scene where you see people getting fucking diced up like cubed meat in that laser scene, I love that fucking scene. It's probably the best scene in the movie. They actually took that from the Resident Evil 4 game. So they did do a little bit of the research when they watched that movie, when they made that movie, but ultimately that's a Paul W.S. Anderson movie, and he really does whatever the fuck he wants. But I do want to say that the ending of Resident Evil 2002 is one of the best things that I've ever witnessed. I know people listening might laugh at that, but it's the truth. When I first watched that movie, I actually stood up in excitement as the ending was happening, and I thought to myself, "Holy shit! Let this be the end. Please end here. This is a fucking perfect ending. Oh my god!" And that theme kicked on by Manson and Beltrami, and the screen went black. And I remember just kind of like applauding in my head, like, holy shit, what a way to fucking end a movie. And then they also teased that Matt's going to be Nemesis in the sequel. So it gives you a little hope that the sequel was going to be something, but it ends up being complete shit like every other sequel that came after that. Anyway, let's get back to Welcome to Racoon City.
Well, I was going to jump back to Mark Corvin.
Okay, yeah.
He's some of his other movies he's done. He did Cube from 1997.
Okay.
And he did both of Egger's movies, The Witch and the Lighthouse.
Oh. I'm not really that I'm not really familiar with his name, but I mean I know those movies, and I can't complain. Even though I didn't care for The Witch, I mean I definitely appreciated the music and the folk
just
music.
Hate him for no good reason.
That string music, I always like that stuff. It keeps you on edge.
Yeah. I just want to point out, when I was looking into him, he's done some good stuff. He does a lot of sci-fi horror stuff. I've noticed for people kind of stick to genres besides directors. I feel like you'll see like a lot of composers, they'll just kind of stick to like those certain kind of movies. I mean, you have exceptions like Hans Zimmer. It's done like everything.
Right.
But like usually if you find somebody that got their start in music with like sci-fi horror, they kind of stick there. I mean, like even Carpenter, the stuff he's released that wasn't themes for his movie still, for a lot of it, had like a sci-fi horror feel to it.
Yeah, and almost, again, I always bring this up, but like a rock. All of his music has like a rock and roll undertone to it. Like, no matter how creepy, or listen to any of John Carpenter's music, whether it's a theme used in a movie or just something on one of his CDs, there's no hip hop in that. I'm not bashing hip hop. I'm just saying you're not going to listen to Carpenter and go, damn, he's inspired by hip hop. No, you can tell that dude is a rocker, and I love it.
And I would say the closest he got to country would be Vampires, but it still had
that
like,
twang to it. Yeah, it had that southern twang to it.
And
I
then,
totally feel that.
Even though we talk about Raccoon City, one. I was going to say his most rock-sounding one, I have to think, is In the Mouth of Madness.
Yeah, like the opening credit sequence. There's like guitar solos in that bitch. Yeah.
And I will, for the 1000th time, say that man has never made a bad score.
He's never made a bad score.
He's made a bad movie.
He's made a bad movie, but it took him a long time. This is from like
two of his biggest fans.
It took him a long time, man. Like I was just talking to a coworker about him at work, and I mentioned, I'm like, yeah, this is the dude that did Halloween and The Thing and In the Mouth of Madness and They Live and Someone's Watching You and Starman. And my coworker goes, damn, he's the dude that did all those? And I'm like, yeah, and he's done more. And I have to go on, I'm like, he did Assault on Precinct 13. And he's just like, holy shit. And I'm like, yeah, John Carpenter is very much like the Steven Spielberg of the horror, like of like the horror genre,
sci-fi.
yeah, of like the horror sci-fi. Like he has the longest, most consistent streak of good fucking movies. He might have made bad movies towards the end of his career, but if you look at like from the start of his career till like almost right like 4 or 5 at the very end of it, I mean, every movie is just about a hit. It's crazy. It's the dude knew how to make a fucking movie.
Yeah, The Ward and Ghost of Mars were his last two.
Yeah, the Ward was awful, man. I remember I was thinking John Carpenter did this. Like
I haven't subjected myself to it because how much I like Carpenter, and everybody I know that had seen it says it's terrible. And it's funny because I saw it on Netflix for the longest time, and I'm like, oh, this. I didn't even look that Carpenter had directed it. I just was like, oh, this looks kind of decent. And then like everybody's like, no, it's terrible. And then you were like, it was a Carpenter movie, and I was like, what?
Well,
so we got off on a tangent. Any excuse to talk about John Carpenter, I'm in for.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, yeah, back to Resident Evil Raccoon City. One of the things that I like about Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City is that Johannes Roberts, the director, he very much made this his own movie and didn't make it a stereotypical zombie movie, which is kind of what the 2002 Resident Evil movie was besides the T-virus storyline. It was more of like a just common generic zombie movie that the 2002 movie actually even stole several scenes from George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead. So yeah, Joe, there's no scene stealing. There's no real obvious like homages or rip-offs in this movie. It's very much its own movie. So I do definitely appreciate it for that.
Yeah, he's had some good movies. He did the 47 Meters Down movies. I know a lot of people don't like it. But The Strangers Pray at Night, he did that as well.
I liked that. I mean, it wasn't as strong as the first one. But I mean, it was good.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters when it came out, and I mean, it just got shit on, and I thought it was a okay to good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Christina Hendricks is in it, so that's a plus. Anyway,
but yeah, there's this scene in Resident Evil where like the elevator opens up and all of the zombies are inside the elevator and they just reach and grab JD and pull him into the elevator, and it's just such a rip-off of this is a direct pull from that scene in Dawn of the Dead when that same thing happens. So again, yeah, I really appreciate that I'm not watching this going like, hey, yeah, they this person obviously did their Romero homework and is trying to show off, that they can do homages. I like that this was something original and that it was its own beast and not something that it was trying to be or compete with things that had come before it.
I mean, I think it's a lot of people have said it, but the zombie genre has gotten stale.
Oh yeah,
like
it's been stale, man, for a while. The Walking Dead fucking saw to that.
It's funny because zombies had gone away, and the first 2 seasons of The Walking Dead were good. At least season 1 and 2 were both good. Anyway, it seems like you had Romero zombies, and then people kept doing that. It died out, and then you had the 28 Days Later with the fast zombies, and then people just latched onto that for a while. And then Walking Dead is just making me want to hate zombies. But like this, and I feel like the other one is vampires, where nobody shows any kind of initiative in trying to do something different with the genre, create a different kind of vampire.
I agree.
I agree. I guess you could say they kind of did with Twilight, but that was a bad idea. But at least it tried something.
Dude, it's so bad now that even the whole like Barlow Salem's Lot style vampire is being ripped off and everything now. Like that was one where you saw it every once in a while, like the Nosferatu and then Barlow. You saw that bald, old, buck-toothed, long-fingered vampire like here and there. But now it's like that movie Jacob's Wife with Barbara Crampton, and that movie was okay. I'm not gonna. It was okay. I can tolerate it. I'm not gonna buy it or watch it again. But just all these vampire movies coming out of the woodwork, just trying to use the whole old ancient bald vampire thing, and it's like even that, and not even that sacred anymore. Like everything is just so used to fucking death, man.
Yeah, and I mean, like, as much as I'm complaining about that, I'm not necessarily saying that about Resident Evil, because I
Yeah.
mean, it already had its formula from the 90s. And I mean, but theirs did switch it up. You had different types of zombies.
Oh yeah,
Where,
absolutely.
like,
Some
the
were, like,
Romero and the other
mutations.
ones, everybody's just a zombie. You have these kind of mutations. You had a company was trying to design these different kinds of,
And things like the liquor that were like more monsters than
yeah.
human. Yeah.
Like, I mean, it changed things up. I mean, they're going to stick to what they originally did, so I'm not going to hold that. I'm just more the zombie genre as a whole. That and vampires, I feel like, are the two worst. With not, like, when I hear there's a new vampire movie, 9 times out of 10, I'm like, I have no interest. I know it's not going to be good. Every once in a while, there's a good one, but I feel like zombies and vampires, it's just the same old stuff. And somebody
Yeah.
needs to shake it up.
I agree. Well, while we're on this note, why don't we take this time to discuss the bad, what we didn't like about the movie. Go in depth about that. I'll go first because something that you had said earlier. See, we said after the movie was over that we liked the movie, but we didn't discuss it. So now we get to get
Yeah,
into
we usually try to save it till we're on here.
right, and that's what I wanted to bring up was that I feel that everybody, I feel that Hannah John Kamen, however you say that, did a good job as Jill. Kaya did a good job as Claire. Neil as William. Tom as Albert Wesker. Tom Hopper. Robbie Amell as Chris Redfield. Donald Logue. And Ivan Jogia, who played Leon S. Kennedy. I think they all did a good job in their roles, but it's funny that you had brought up how you really liked Leon, because the thing that I really disliked about this movie, the main thing, was how much of a dumbass that they made Leon. They made him a rookie just like in the game Resident Evil 2, but he's a fucking idiot in this movie. And I mean, even, I think I'm saying that right, I'm not entirely sure either, like you said earlier, but Ivan Jogia, he's a fine actor. But Leon is treated like the village idiot, and that irks me a bit. I
didn't have a problem with that. I feel like it set the tone, especially from was it Irons, Chief Irons. I feel like he kind of set the tone that, like, you get your balls busted at this place. And I feel like, for me, I felt that the Leon character, he's a rookie. He really did not seem to want to be there. He was very unsure of himself, and just the pressure they're giving him's added on top of it to him and just making him fuck up more.
Okay, fine. Look,
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that's the way I interpret
and
it.
that's fine. Look, like I was gonna say, I disagree, but that fact that you see it a different way where it doesn't bother you, that's fine. Say I agree with you and say that say you did convince me, and say I don't think, okay, you know what, I don't think that they made him a dumbass anymore. One thing that I think is inexcusable, unless you want to argue this point, maybe you will. One thing that I think is inexcusable that just really got under my skin is the worst scene in the movie for me. Was they took the exploding semi from the Resident Evil 2 game and used it in this movie, but it blows up directly in front of the fucking police station doors while Leon is just sitting there behind the desk listening to headphones. Yet he doesn't know anything's going on until the driver runs through the doors in flames. That's the only time Leon sees him. I don't care if you got Bose headphones. I don't care how good your headphones are. You're going to feel and hear an explosion like that, especially if it's right in the front of the front fucking doors where you're fucking sitting.
And I got excited when I saw the tractor trailer start swerving. I was like, yes!
I mean, it was a funny scene. The music that was playing, like, it was funny. It was definitely an entertaining scene,
Our,
but it was a
our
stupid scene.
roommates were not fans of that scene. I made that note immediately.
Who's that?
Our roommates at the theater.
Oh, they weren't.
Yeah, to my left, they were not fans of that scene. They expressed their displeasure. She's like, come on.
Well, like, well, I think at the climax of the scene, when the flaming truck driver gets killed, that
He's straight Michael Myers from Halloween 2, just stomping, walking out of that.
Well, when the punchline of that scene, happens, I think me and you both laughed, but it was like the execution when I'm like, that shit just blew up like 30, 40 feet in front of this guy. A fucking truck just blew up into flames, and he's really just jamming to his headphones and has no idea what's going on. I'm kind of like, I don't care whether that character is a genius or a dumbass or how they portrayed him. That's just a dumb, unrealistic scene. So that is one of the main
That's
things
fine.
that I disliked about.
I'll give you that.
That is one of the things that I really disliked about the movie was that scene. I thought that, although like I said, the punchline was funny, I just thought it was a dumb scene. But yeah, what are some of your dislikes?
I have to say, I like him in a lot of stuff he's in, but I also dislike him in some stuff he's in. Is Neil McDonough? I felt like he played Birkin, who ends up becoming Tyrant in the end.
Yeah.
I felt like his performance was kind of uneven. Like from his earlier years to his later years. Like,
he seemed almost kind of like dicky at the end, right? Like towards like
well,
his
like
later
I
years.
get that he's supposed to be this evil doctor, but they like were heavily portraying him with Claire of being like he came off as very caring, and they're trying to play that through the
Sympathetic,
half, and then they just like turn it that he's an evil doctor. And I thought that is like, I guess maybe that speaks to the acting, but I thought that they portrayed it too heavily on him being a good guy, and you kind of were like, oh, he's, you know, even though he's at this facility, he cares about Claire.
Yeah. I totally get that.
And I just, I mean, I guess it, and like I said, I guess it
I
makes
agree with
more
that too. I agree with that.
It makes more sense, I guess, for the storyline to make him Tyrant again, just instead of just some random mutation. But
Yeah.
that was kind of weird with his like head in there as Tyrant and stuff.
Yeah. 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 Well, the thing is, though, is that, you know, this movie is so much truer to the source material than the first film. But it suffers from trying to do too much. I feel like this movie would have benefited from just using one of the story points, like the mansion, instead of combining plot points from the first two games. I feel that they crammed too much and too short of a runtime.
And where were the puzzles? There was no puzzles.
And yeah,
There wasn't swapping a gold medallion with this wood medallion so you could take it with you.
Correct.
Yeah, that would have been ridiculous if they put that shit in there.
And that's
They gotta, like, move statues and stuff.
And that was what I remember people complaining about the Tomb Raider game, because they were like, oh, you know, like Lara Croft didn't do this and do that. And I'm like, you really want to watch? Like, that's not
She also had triangle-shaped titties.
Anyway, Resident Evil Welcome to Racoon City does have a bit of a pacing problem because of the whole, you know, forcing too much into too small of a time frame. It's just trying to cover too much ground, and I feel like the movie ends too abruptly. I feel like there should have been like an extra 5 or 10 minutes in there. It somehow feels incomplete. I guess that's my complaint, but I think maybe that's because they're planning on sequels and they wanted to, you know, hook the audiences.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess you don't really get the hook really till the mid-credit scene, and they throw Ada Wong in there.
Yeah.
The guy next to me know who the fuck that was immediately, because they were like, "Your name," and he's like, "Ada Wong."
Yeah, that's
like,
a nice
okay,
little.
dude.
That's a nice little. Yeah, and I like that it's mid credits as well. So, you know, yeah, for you listeners out
Stop
there,
the end credits. Just do a mid credit. Like,
yes,
actually,
seriously, not everybody wants to wait till the whole movie's over. So yeah,
I might have hit this twice.
let me. I don't care. But yeah, to you listeners out there, there is a mid-credit sequence. So once the movie's over, wait about 3-4 minutes, if that, honestly, and then you're gonna get a nice little scene where you see how Wesker becomes Wesker. Yes, okay, my verdict.
I wanted to say one good thing they did keep in there. I was so excited when I saw Leon grab the fucking rocket launcher.
Oh my god, yes.
The whole time I'm like,
Yes.
the whole time going into the movie, like even before, I'm just like, as soon as I knew Leon and then we're in it, I'm like, are they going to use the rocket launcher? Are they going to use the rocket launcher?
But dude, the thing was, I was hoping like in the I was just hoping, I'm like, oh, please be like the game where you gotta hit him like 4 or 5 times with it. I've never seen it. I've never seen in a movie where somebody
ridiculous.
or something gets shot like several times with a bazooka or a rocket launcher. It's always a one
You
and
don't need
done.
that Schwarzenegger one from Commando.
That's what I was gonna say. But it's always that one and done. So like, could you imagine if they had done where you have to shoot the motherfucker like 3,
Reload
4,
it.
5 times?
He's gonna
that
kill
would be
him. That would be
amazing.
so
Why is that
ridiculous.
not done?
Yeah, I was gonna say like, how come they didn't do like the video games where you got to play the stories in order? You got to do like Leon A and then Claire B.
Yeah, right.
You could have different endings, because I think the original one has 4 different endings. I think.
Yeah. I remember, and if you have to like unlock and do all these different things in order to play certain endings. I believe I played the first game once. After I got the Tyrant, which was the second time. I remember I didn't get Tyrant the first time. I fucked the game up, and I did not get the Tyrant. I just fought him the second time, though, and after that I was able to say, yeah, I did it, and walk away.
Yeah, I played the Resident Evil 2 remake. I got about halfway through, and then I got to go back and finish it. I'm probably more than halfway through. Mr. X still scares the shit out of me. Fucking like turning, running away as fast as I can. Survival horror games get me more than watching a horror movie, I feel like, nowadays. I think it's because you put yourself in the situation, you're the one controlling the situation.
Yeah.
But, like, there's some survival horror games out there that still fucking, like, scare the shit out of me.
Yeah, I mean, the Evil Within creeped me the fuck out. I'm still in the middle of playing the second one. Survival horror games will definitely do that to you. Like, that was my thing, was I'm like, oh, I'm gonna play it in the pitch black with a candle burning, smoke a bong pack. Like 40 minutes into playing, I'm like, hey, maybe I ought to turn that kitchen light on just to get a little bit of light coming in this room, so it ain't totally dark in here.
I'll tell you one recently. Well, I guess it wasn't recently. It's been several years now, but Alien Isolation, man. I'll tell you, when you're just chilling in a vent and you just hear this xenomorph running around, and I'm just like, where the fuck's it at? Where the fuck's it at?
All right, well, back to Resident Evil. Welcome to Racoon City. My verdict, like the 2002 film, Welcome to Raccoon City has its flaws, but also like the 2002 film, it is still very enjoyable and very entertaining. But unlike the 2002 film, it is a real survival horror film that is packed with scares and a good time. The music by Mark Corvin is incredible, as we said, and as a horror fan, I prefer this one over the 2002 film. I give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Wow, 7.5. I thought I was being generous. I was going to say, I kind of echo a lot of what you said. And I was gonna say like a 6, 7, somewhere around there.
6, 7.
I still enjoyed it. Like, I want to watch it again.
I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna give it a 7. I thought about it as you were saying that. I think a 7.5 is a little too high. My final verdict, 7 out of 10.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I enjoyed it. I want to see it again. I even with the free pass, I'm not going to go see it again in theaters.
What is your verdict again? I'm sorry, you said 6.3.
No, 6.7.
6.7. Okay.
Unless I'm too high. Okay. That's what I thought. 6.3 came out.
I'm probably the one that's too high and just didn't hear you properly.
6.7, homie.
So we got a 6.7 from John and a 7 from Drew. Okay. So we got, positives all around, right? Thumbs up.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's some stuff I didn't like, but I can't really hold the acting against it when you have the original voice acting from the first game.
Oh my God.
I can't hold acting against it, but yeah. I mean, I want to see it again. I'll probably get it. I put it this way. I wouldn't pre-order it on Vudu, but when they have a sale on it for like $10, I'll probably pick it up.
Or you'll take that Vudu code for me for free when I buy it on 4K.
One of those two. I mean, you buy it on 4K, sure, I'll take it.
All right, so Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. Drew and John from High on Horror, the podcast, say check it out.
Thanks to all the horror hounds and smokers out there for tuning in. We told you we wouldn't abandon you. We're definitely going to be in touch with you again before our new season starts in January on December 20th, and that'll be our Christmas episode. Make sure to follow us online. You never know. We might have something for you before the Christmas, but you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok at High on Horror 420. You can always email us at highonhorror420@gmail.com. And make sure to go to our website, highonhorror.com. You can sign up for our newsletter while you're there, and you'll get announcements if we do have something, again, for you before Christmas. And you'll get our guest announcements and our newest episodes delivered directly into your inbox. And I guess all it's left to say is definitely check out Resident Evil Racoon City. It's not perfect, but still a fun movie to watch. And I guess that'll about wrap her up. Catch you later.
Bye, everybody.